I promised you a review of Toy Story 4 and here it is at last. A few days later than I would have liked, but stuff kept getting in the way. You may have noticed a slightly different camera angle, depends how much attention you pay. I found my sticky to the window phone holder thingamajiggy. I'm doing that because it's there. So yes, it's not resting on my steering wheel and I've got both my hands. Novel. I also endeavoured to sort my hair out before I started, but I also think I've cried all my makeup off today, but that's another story for another day. I'm here to talk about Toy Story 4. And before anyone panics, no spoilers, I wouldn't do that. It's not how I roll. I guess what I really want to talk about is my relationship with these films. And you might think, well, I'm just not that interested in your relationship with these films, Katie, and that's absolutely fine. But they matter to me, they matter to a lot of people. And I just kind of wanted to reflect on each film and when it came into my life and how I felt and all that sort of thing. And I don't think for a second that I'm the only person doing this. I've got real rogue hair problems, haven't I? That can go over there. Mark Kermode did a similar thing on his 5 Live show that he does with Simon Mayo, talked about the whole 4 films and what they meant to him. So I did a bit of research as to when each film was released, and these are the UK release dates. So the original film, Toy Story, came out in March of, I'm looking down at my notes, in March of 1996. And I remember really clearly going to see an advanced screening at a cinema in the Metro Centre in Gateshead, and I kind of for the life of me remember which chain it was. It's an Odeon cinema now over at the Metro Centre, but it wasn't then. And friends from home might remember, but there was a cinema in the Metro Centre, and myself and my lovely friend Gemma, who I'm still very good friends with now, cut a token out of Smash Hits magazine and got to go and see a preview on a Sunday morning of new movie Toy Story for free. And we were late, standard. I'd wager Gemma left me standing outside Greg's on Blackett Street and was late because she was clotting about with her hair or something. So we got the bus, the 100 I think it was, over to the Metro Centre, and we legged it in, and it had already started, and I'd had real reservations on the way over, thinking like, I don't know how I'm going to feel watching a whole film made on a computer, because it was such an alien thing back then. And I remember thinking, is it just going to be like watching a video game? Is it going to be awful? And was it awful? No, it wasn't. It was Toy Story, and it blew my mind and the minds of everybody else in the audience and the minds of millions and billions of people around the world, not only then in 1996, but still to this day. And it was obviously very well received. I was astounded that these wizards at Pixar could make me care about toys. It makes you think about your own toys as a kid and how you treated them, and I absolutely loved it. Now the second one didn't roll around until, checks our notes again, February of 2000. So when I saw the first one in 1996, I was 14 years old, and I would have been in year 9 at school. When Toy Story 2 came out, it was February of 2000, and I was 18. By this point, I would have been in year 13 at school, and I distinctly remember this time we went to the Odeon in Pilgrim Street, which is no longer there, and there was a group of about 6 of us from 6th form, from my school, Sacred Heart, and from the boys' school, St Cuthbert's. So it would have been me and my boyfriend James. I distinctly remember Ross being there, and I don't know who else, but there was a bunch of us, and we were 18, and we went to see Toy Story 2, and I promise you, we were not those 6th formers who were dicking about in the screen and disrupting everything. We were there because it was Toy Story 2, and we'd waited 4 years for this, thank you very much, and we were mega excited. So we would have been 17 and 18 years old, 6th formers, riveted to Toy Story 2, absolutely loved it. Obviously, we got new characters in the second one, so we met Jessie and Bullseye. The brilliant storyline of Buzz being replaced by another Buzz from the toy store. All those jokes about how deluded Buzz was in the first one. It has the incredible song When She Loved Me by Sarah McLachlan, which reduced me to a blubbering wreck and made me want to hunt down every toy I'd ever had in my life that I'd ever given away, and apologise to it. And we thought the first one couldn't be topped, and then they topped it. And it was just expanding that universe, making us love these characters even more, which we didn't think was possible. Now, the first two came out within 4 years of each other. We didn't see Toy Story 3 until July of 2010. Now, I said I was 18 when the first one came out. By the time the second one came out, I was 28. The third one. So by 2010, I was mother to an 18-month-old girl, and we decided, me and her dad, my then partner, to go and see it, and we got Eva looked after. We didn't take her because 18-month-olds don't belong in cinemas, and I have beef about Saturday morning when we went to see Toy Story 4 and people brought in a child who was far too young to be there, but that's a separate issue. So Pete and I took ourselves off to Northampton. It was a Sunday afternoon, and like I say, we asked his mum and dad to watch Eva so we could go and watch the film. We watched it in 3D, and I'm not entirely sure why, because we're not really on the 3D vibe train, but we did see it in 3D, and nothing could have prepared me for the emotional sucker punch that was Toy Story 3. It absolutely destroyed me. I mean, I was broken, sobbing my heart out like people I knew had died. That scene in the incinerator, like, even now thinking about it, and it's 9 years ago, I'm still heartbroken. Well, not so much heartbroken, obviously, because they get out, but spoilers. But just that thought of what was going to happen to them all holding hands and saying, well, you know, if we're going to go together. Not that they say anything, it's silent, and that's, again, something that makes it so powerful. It's this high drama, and there's the cynical argument that says, but they're only toys. They're not only toys. It's Woody and Jessie and Bullseye and Buzz and everybody else. The potato heads are there as well. And obviously the third one concludes with Andy going off to college and handing over his toys to Bonnie. And if I thought the incinerator scene was emotional, that final scene, good God, like, what are you doing to me, Pixar? I mean, I could talk at length about the amount of times Pixar have made me cry and the emotions they've made me feel, sometimes against my will. They made me feel feelings I can't cope with. Don't even start me on the beginning of Up. First 10 minutes, Jesus Christ. And Toy Story 3 was the most beautiful and perfect ending to a film trilogy. To me, it was perfect because there's no weak link. They are three strong films with their own story arcs, where the characters develop. The voice work is phenomenal. You can't imagine anybody else voicing Woody other than Tom Hanks. I'm not Tim Allen's biggest fan, but he is perfect for Buzz. And it tied everything up so beautifully. They didn't phone it in. Lotso, this genuine, sinister villain, but then when you find out his own backstory, you kind of almost feel sorry for him, but not quite. And that was it. We were done. We had everything we needed from the Toy Story franchise. We had seen our heroes start a new life with a new child, and all was well. There was a couple of brilliant little shorts. Hawaiian Vacation and... oh, what's the other one? The Happy Meal toy one. I can't remember what it's called. But there's some really great shorts that sort of follow on after they go to live with Bonnie. There's the sort of mini movie, the Christmas one, where they're in a friend of Bonnie's room and they meet the other dinosaurs. So we spent a little bit of time with these characters in their new life, and it was really lovely, the little glimpses of where they were at. But I don't think anybody expected to get another feature film, and I don't think anybody particularly was craving one. And I'll be honest, when I saw the trailer for Toy Story 4, I was a little bit, annoyed is the wrong word, but I was a a bit sort of, no, we don't need another one. We're done. All is well. They're with Bonnie. We can leave them there. The sun has set. All is well. No more, please, thank you. And that was kind of the attitude that I went into the cinema with on Saturday morning. But I couldn't not watch it because the trailer was still funny, and it's Toy Story. So obviously I'm going to go. And, oh yes, just to continue my theme, Toy Story 4 released in, what month is it? June of 2019. Bloody hell. I'm 37. So I've gone from being 14 to 37 in the span of the Toy Story films. I've gone from being a year 9 to a mother of 2 with a full-time job. And a part-time job too. Lucky me. So did I enjoy Toy Story 4? Oh my God, did I. And do you know what it comes down to? They didn't need to make it, but do you know what it gave me and what it'll give everybody else who goes to see it? More time with these characters. Because I have spent the last 20 odd years of my life with these characters, and they've always been there, and you can dip in, and when you become a parent you get to share them with your children, and maybe even I'll get to share them with grandchildren in the future. And just to sit in a cinema and feel that feeling of wonder and joy at spending time with these beautifully drawn, well-rounded characters that I've known for so long. And in terms of an adventure, it's brilliant. There's genuine jeopardy. I may have done this a few times. I'm 37 and my mum does that when she watches stuff, and it really gets on my nerves, so less of that please. There was a proper jumpy bit where Hal nearly threw his drink all over himself and Eva had to be peeled off the ceiling of the screen. And yeah, there was crying. Oh, there was crying. There was all the crying. I was crying, Eva was crying. Hal wasn't crying because he had his mate with him, so they were giggling a bit. But it was emotional, it was enjoyable, it looks phenomenal. And I think when you go back to the original, bear in mind how long ago that was and how pioneering, you kind of think the animation on the toys is still phenomenal and holds up really well. What isn't great is the animation on the humans. Thankfully, you don't really see a lot of Andy and his mum and Sid. You know, they're... Well, I suppose you do, but you kind of just... You're willing to overlook the fact that they're not particularly lifelike because all you care about is the toys, or that's where your main focus is. I think it was really by the time Pixar did The Incredibles that they nailed humans, and obviously now they look incredible, but the toys have always looked wonderful. And one of the main sets, if you like, for this film is inside an antique shop, and I've never seen animation like it. It is so real that sometimes you forget that you're watching a film. You're watching a cartoon, essentially, a computer-generated cartoon. I do hope it's the last one. Yes, there's a part of me that would love to continue spending time with these characters, but if I want to do that, I can watch 1, 2, 3 or 4. Maybe there will be more. I really don't know. But if this is their swan song, then it is perfect. And you must see it. And you might cry if you're anything like me. It will make you laugh. I laughed out loud several times to the point where Eva tried to cover my mouth. She was embarrassed. There wasn't very many in the screen, so she kept thinking we were going to get thrown out because I was laughing too loudly. But it was funny. So, Toy Story 4 might be the last one, might not. If it is, it's perfect. Please make sure you see it. I might go and see it again. I don't often get to do films twice, but I think if I was going to, this might be one of the ones that I do go back and see for a second time. Strongly considered going to see Rocketman for a third time tonight, and then had a word with myself. So yes, this has been a particularly long review, but I did want to reflect on Toy Story as a whole. So thank you very much to Pixar for 20 plus years, for wonderful characters, for wonderful stories, for making me laugh out loud, for making me cry my eyes out, for making me fall in love with a pull string cowboy doll and a space ranger. Katie out.